Throughout history, we, as humans, have used the power of our minds to achieve incredible and amazing feats. In reality, our minds are simply tools we use to create our thoughts. And the quality of our thoughts determines the quality of our experiences. A simple shift in perception will quickly and easily improve how you feel and what you believe is possible, helping you to achieve all of your personal goals, even those that previously seemed unattainable. Join us now as we explore the vast landscapes of our minds. This is Mind Over Matter. Hello, and good evening.
Good evening, Brandy. How are you tonight?
I'm doing really well. I'm Brandolyn Jokiel.
And I'm Mitch Friedman.
And this is Mind Over Matter, where we teach people like you how to use the power of their minds to feel better and have more of what they want in their lives.
That's right. Sounds like a good plan for the new year.
It is a good plan for the new year. And while I think this show is airing January 10th, we're actually the day after New Year. So it's still a very new year for us.
That's right, yeah. So you just got back from New York. You had a nice little holiday in New York. How was that?
Loved it. Loved New York City. It was the first time that we've ever gone there. And you want to talk about opening up possibilities in my mind of what is out there and what is just a possible and achievable. The city, if you've never been to Manhattan, oh my goodness, and you get a chance to go, just go. For the architecture alone, just to see how they've put this island together. Almost 2 million people living on that island, and it's sometimes as many as 12 million people there when you have all of the workers and tourists who commute in. 2 million people. I'm not sure, Mitch, but I think that's more than live in the state of New Mexico.
On that one little island.
On that one little island, and it's just amazing. And you know what I liked most about it? Is that it was clean, and people were really, really nice. Super duper nice.
Yeah, New York has changed a lot. I grew up in New York, and I left back in the 70s, early 80s, and it's really changed. When you were telling me I haven't been back for a while, and when you were telling me how clean, and it smelled so good, and I've heard that from quite a few people, that it's really clean, and no street people, and it's looking pretty good. I'm going to have to check New York out. I know I've been avoiding it. Since I moved, I've kind of been avoiding the East Coast. So.
Yeah, we definitely really, really loved it. Already planning our next trip back. It's a beautiful city. And while we were there, right near Times Square during all of the stuff that New Year's things, we left on New Year's Eve because I really didn't want to do like the million people in Times Square and the 12 degrees or whatever it was. I'm not really into that, but just the hustle and bustle. And everybody I saw was happy. And maybe it was just the holiday season and the tree at Rockefeller. And we saw the Radio City Music Hall Rockettes Christmas Spectacular. We were all really into that whole thing. But it was just an amazing place. And for me, it was great to go and see a whole different way of living and to see just all the possibilities that exist for, anybody who wants to make it happen for themselves.
Yeah. And I'm glad, it's funny that you say that you went and everybody was really happy, and so much of that is perspective, your perception of what was going on, which I love. You were in a good mood, having a good time, so everybody seemed really happy, and I'm sure they were. It was the holidays, and Happy New Year, and it's the Yes I Can year coming up. So, yeah, this seems like 2009, I think, is going to be a real turning point for all of us. So do you have any New Year's resolutions?
I do. I have a New Year's resolution I'm really excited about because I've been thinking about it off and on, not as a resolution, but for about the past 6 months. So I decided to make it my resolution. I resolve to read one book a week, one nonfiction book a week for the next 52 weeks and take notes on it and file the notes in my computer.
Excellent. Wow. That sounds like quite a chore. But, knowing you, I'm sure it's so doable for you, and I'm sure you'll do it.
There's just so many books I want to read, and I know I can integrate them into our teachings and our classes and the television show. So I just really need to be organized about it. So that's what I resolved to do. And you? Do you have resolutions to share?
I do. I have some, so I actually wrote a few down because I was just doing this morning, and I thought, I should actually make some New Year's resolutions. It's New Year's, and I haven't for years, so I thought, okay,
So why haven't you for years, just out of curiosity?
I don't know why. There's just never really been anything that I've really felt like I've needed to commit to. I did have a really successful, about 18 years ago, I decided I did that whole quit smoking on New Year's. That was my New Year's resolution. And I pulled it off 18 years ago. So that was probably my biggest success story. And maybe I decided that was it. I was going to leave it on a good note. So I didn't even attempt it after that. But it was pretty successful. And, I'd like to actually say something about that, because I know a lot of people tried to do this stop smoking and weight loss, a couple of the really big ones for New Year's resolutions. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of coaching on what worked for me back then.
Oh, yeah.
Because, what I did was, and this was before I even knew hypnosis, before I studied the mind and the subconscious mind, and it really worked out well for me. I kept seeing myself, because my motivation was to quit smoking. I had just moved here, and I started skiing again, and I couldn't even breathe when I was up at 13,000 feet on top of the mountains. So I would hold that image. My motivation was to really have deep breaths and be able to open my lungs at 14,000 feet. So what I did, whenever that urge for the cigarette would come up, I would imagine myself at the top of the mountain and skiing, and put myself in the character of being healthy and breathing and deep breaths, and it would immediately take the urge away and just move me on to the next thing. So, and we have a lot of clips and a lot of information today that talks a little bit about why that works. But let me get back to this year. For this year, I have a couple of little ones, like, I have a fish tank, this big giant, like 40 gallon fish tank, and my partner calls it the dark black hole. It's just horrible. I just feel guilty. I feel guilty. I'm like starving my fish of oxygen when it gets that bad. So that's my New Year's resolution, is to clean my fish tank once a month.
Once a month.
So that's going to be good. And, drink water first thing in the morning. And one thing I really want to start doing is get outside more and really move my body and just kind of exercise.
Is that how you exercise? Well, is that the orangutan exercise?
When I walk, I do. I want to move my body, and really get some flexibility.
I want to see. I think you should put out a DVD, like an exercise DVD, and it's like Mitch's orangutan way to move your body.
Oh, you should see me walking down the street. I do. I make really big, exaggerated movements, and I'm all over the place. So people watching me walk down the street are probably thinking, "What's he listening to in that iPod?"
That's one thing I loved about New York, is walking everywhere. That you really can just get your exercise as part of your daily routine. I love that portion of it. Everything is so accessible. But I digress. You may go on.
So this is the most important thing to me for this year. I really want my New Year's resolution that I'm going to be committed to this year is walking my talk, is really staying committed to what comes out of my mouth, living that and doing it, and practicing the tools that I tell other people to use, and really staying in integrity with all of that. And also healthy communication.
Healthy communication.
I think that's really big. I know I had a really big experience at the end of last year with a bunch of people at this job that I had, where there was absolutely no communication, and people were making up stories all over the place about each other, and it just got so stupid that I had to just leave. And there was no communication, and if people had talked and just openly opened their hearts, opened their mouths, used their outside voices, and just asked what was real, what wasn't real, and we just had some really healthy communication, number one, I'd probably still be working there, and number two, we would still be friends, So a big thing for me, a real commitment I want to make this year for myself, is to have healthy communication. Just open, use my outside voice, be fully and completely self-expressed.
I think, one, the planet needs that overall, and two, in the clients that I see, and you probably have the same experience in the books that I read about different sessions and what other authors are writing, the ability to express oneself or to really say what needs to be said, and I'm not saying in a nasty way or in a passive way, aggressive way, just being authentic and communicating thoughts, feelings, needs. It's something that a lot of people have difficulty with because of things they made up in their past. Well, if I say this, then the love's going to be taken away from me, or if I do it this way, then I'll have some sort of consequence. And those are things that all of us beliefs in some form that we hold from early childhood about when we authentically expressed ourselves, whether it be through anger or silliness. And we got, I'm a parent, so I know how it is. No, you don't do that here. Not right now, because you're in the grocery store or something like that.
Right.
In that moment, the child can make up all kinds of things about healthy expression, and then as life goes on, reinforcing events can also say, no, you can't say that or do that or express yourself that way.